Hello everyone, Mr. John here from Areteem Intelligence Planet with a quick demo today for programming with the Scratch language, which is one of the topics for our Summer 2021 STEAM Camp coming up next month. What is Scratch? Just as an introduction, it is a block programming language. So it's a pretty easy language for students to get started with. You can see the code, you can kind of drag stuff around, you have kind of easy graphic manipulations with sprites and backgrounds, and you can actually do some pretty fun stuff, some pretty cool things with some extensions that are built in as well. So Scratch is a programming language built by MIT for kind of outreach for students, and so they have some cool partnerships where you can do some stuff with music or drawing or kind of text-to-speech, some video sensing things as well, all with this block programming language. Right? And so it really allows students to kind of create interactive things that are quick to share. We'll see a quick demonstration of a kind of pretty quick program that we kind of mocked up for demo purposes, but this is the type of thing students can pretty quickly create, and with all of our STEAM programs, we want students to be able to create and present during that week program. This fun coding with Scratch is going to be week 2 for our on-site STEAM camp here at Areteem Intelligence Planet Orange County. We're going to be focusing on some kind of basic animations and telling a story. So, right, we want them to do a project that kind of has some things moving around on the screen, some different backdrops, and right, they can tell a story along the way. Right, so this is kind of a good way to be creative, but also be learning about some of the logic behind programming, and in particular with the Scratch language. Rough 5-day schedule, right? Beginning is just getting comfortable with Scratch, moving some sprites around, introduce how kind of interactions can take place. Then we will study, and one of the cool things about the block programming language is it still allows you to do the foundations of kind of real actual programming that you would do even if you took a kind of college course, your first college programming course. We can talk about things like loops and conditionals, right? Variables, right? Doing some math operators. So we can do all of the kind of standard introductory programming topics in Scratch. That will allow us to do kind of a quick introduction to other languages such as Python. But really a big focus, as all of these things are, is the project, right? So the project is this kind of story project with some movement, right? Interaction. And then the kind of final day is really about demoing those projects to others and presenting their projects, right? So on-site camp especially, we always want these things to be interactive. We want students to be able to kind of show each other their programs and present the programs there too, right? So this should be a fun thing to get them practicing, right? Going up, showing off what they've done, showing off and kind of explaining their story, explaining their interactivity as part of their program is always a great kind of fun way to end the week at one of these STEAM camps. Let's do a quick demo here, right? So one of the nice things about Scratch is that it does allow you to kind of quickly see something and modify it, right? So a lot of early programming is taking a program that's there and then modifying it. So here we have a quick little program called What Sport Should I Play? You can see the description below for a link to visit this, try this program yourself, modify this program yourself, right? So it's a great way to get started with Scratch and kind of see what's going on from there. So Instructions here are use the left and right arrow keys to choose which sport to play. Let's just kind of blow this up full screen here so we can have a nice look at our kind of cat choosing between one of the sports. So starts by asking the question, what sport do I want to play here? We can use the kind of left and right arrow keys to move around left and right on this screen. And now let's see what happens when we pick one of these. So what happens here if I run into the basketball? It says, I want to play basketball, and now we go to the basketball court, and now it's of course time to play basketball with this little sprite we have here. So, like I said, pretty simple program, right? Pretty simple demo, right? If you want to restart it, you can hit green. We can see if you go to the soccer ball, he wants to play soccer. And now we're on a soccer field. The basketball is gone, and we just have the soccer ball on our soccer field here. Like I mentioned though, what's really kind of cool, and I do recommend if you're interested in this, checking it out in the link below, we do have an easy way to kind of see inside this code and kind of see what's happening, right? So we're not going to do kind of all of the details or things like that here, but this just gives you a little idea of how the kind of programming works, right? And how this block idea is going on, right? So just maybe a little bit of highlights of some stuff here. We can think about these two pieces right at the top where we're talking about the left arrow key and the right arrow key. Right, so this is one of the advantages of something like Scratch. It allows you to do things like user input, which are really more complicated than we might think, with some kind of very easy to understand logic. When the right key is pressed, we do something, right? So we change the X coordinate and we change the kind of costume. The costume is kind of like our mini animation thing here, right? Notice if we are going right, the cat is facing to the right. And then when we hit left, right, we don't want him to be walking backwards or anything. So the cat needs to flip around and walk the other direction, right? So these are kind of some very basic things we can do using this kind of Scratch programming language, right? It's really easy to test out. This is actually running right now in this little screen here. So as you're doing the code, as a student is looking at the code, you can kind of pretty easily there, right, manipulate stuff, see what happens if I change the code, and see what happens if I do different things there as well. So we have the sprite, we then have kind of similar instructions for the basketball, the soccer ball, right? There's different things you want to be kind of careful with there as well. So it's a pretty powerful programming language, especially starting out because it's so easy to drag stuff around, see what happens, play with it, and modify it yourself to kind of see what happens and learns from there. So a lot of fun things can be done, and I'm really excited to see what the students at this year's camp come up with as part of their Scratch project for the week. So that was just one example, right? But we do allow students to kind of learn some basics in Python and other stuff as well. So when is the camp? Just kind of going through the dates real quick again. So this on-site STEAM camp is last Monday through Friday in July and the first 2 weeks in August. It's held locally at our Intelligence Planet location in Orange County. Students do math in the morning, then different STEAM topics in the afternoon. So it's a great way to kind of practice their math in the morning, right? Math is, of course, instrumental to a lot of these STEAM topics, right? So it's a good way to kind of practice that in the morning and then have a lot of fun creating, being kind of showing off their kind of skills in coming up with a story, coming up with animations and stuff in the afternoon. We do recommend students join us for all 3 weeks, right? First week is talking about kind of creative stories, more the writing aspect. And then if you join us again for the second week, which is the demo here about Scratch, right, you can use some of those ideas in the story, see if you can kind of come up with some graphics, how can you make it more interactive and things like that. And the third week is talking about web design and publishing. So this is also a pretty creative thing, and the focus is going to be building a descriptive web page there as well. So there will be videos in the links below, not only to that Scratch demo we saw, but also other introductions to these topics too. So I hope to see everybody at the camp this summer. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions, or contact us as well. And I will see everybody hopefully at the camp. Goodbye.